What if I told you a single fighter jet costs more than 5,000 Ferrari supercars? In 2025, the US military spent more on one aircraft program than NASA's entire yearly budget, a staggering $1.7 trillion. These 10 US fighter jets became so expensive, they nearly bankrupted America. The Pentagon tried to hide these numbers, but a leaked classified document exposed the shocking truth. And what's even more mind-blowing, one of these jets was so costly, Congress tried to shut it down 3 times. But the real scandal? Its true cost was hidden from the public for over a decade. The numbers you're about to see were never meant to go public, and after today, you'll understand why. The F-35 Lightning II, America's most expensive military project in history. But what started as a $200 billion program spiraled into a $1.7 trillion nightmare. In 2024, a Pentagon whistleblower shocked the world. The real cost? Each F-35 burns through $33,000 per flight hour. That's $550 every single minute it's in the air. But here's where it gets crazy. Over 800 critical defects were found in these trillion-dollar jets. Problems so serious that pilots refused to fly them in bad weather. The worst part? Military officials knew about these issues for years but kept them hidden from Congress. Among these defects, a $6 million computer system that sometimes just shuts off mid-flight. Imagine driving a Ferrari that randomly turns into a bicycle at 200 miles per hour. The production costs were so out of control that Lockheed Martin was actually losing money on every single jet they built. But instead of fixing the problems, they just kept building more. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, test pilots discovered the F-35 couldn't even outmaneuver the 40-year-old jets it was meant to replace. But this financial disaster wasn't even the beginning. What happened with our next jet would make the F-35 look like a bargain deal. Remember the B-2 Spirit? This amazing stealth bomber is often called the invisible wonder of our Air Force. Each one costs a jaw-dropping $2 billion. That's right, billion with a B. It's like buying a small city in the sky. Let me tell you why our brave pilots love this aircraft so much. The B-2 can fly straight into enemy territory without being spotted. It's so stealthy that it shows up smaller than a bird on radar. This incredible technology helps keep our pilots safe while they protect our freedom. But in 2008, something unbelievable happened at Andersen Air Force Base in Guam. Just minutes after takeoff, one of these $2 billion aircraft crashed. Don't worry, thanks to the amazing training of our Air Force pilots, both crew members ejected safely. But watching $2 billion go up in smoke in just 3 minutes? That's like burning a stack of million-dollar bills as tall as the Empire State Building. What makes this aircraft so expensive? Well, it's covered in special materials that help it stay invisible to radar. These materials are so secret that the planes have to be kept in special climate-controlled hangars. Each hangar costs more to build than a luxury hotel in Las Vegas. Here's something incredible. Every time they paint a B-2, it costs $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. One paint job could buy you a mansion in most states. The paint is so special that maintenance crews have to wear spacesuit-like protective gear just to apply it. But you know what makes our military truly special? Despite the high costs, our dedicated maintenance crews keep these complex machines flying to protect our nation. Every B-2 requires over 50 maintenance hours for each hour of flight. That's American dedication at its finest. And while $2 billion might sound like a lot, ask any military expert and they'll tell you, having the B-2 in our arsenal helped keep America safe during some of the most challenging times. But just wait until you hear about our next aircraft. It was so advanced that other countries spent billions trying to copy it, and they still couldn't match American engineering. Now, let's talk about the incredible F-22 Raptor, the fighter jet that changed the game in modern air warfare. At $200 million each, it's not just a plane, it's a piece of American achievement that shows what our engineers and pilots can do. This amazing aircraft can do things other fighters can only dream of. It flies so high and fast that enemies can't even see it coming. Our brave pilots call it the king of the skies, because nothing else comes close to matching it. When an F-22 shows up to an international air show, Even our allies' best pilots are left speechless. But in 2011, something strange started happening. Our skilled pilots reported feeling dizzy during flights, like they couldn't get enough oxygen. You see, flying the F-22 is like being a superhero, but even superheroes need to breathe. The Air Force, always putting our pilots' safety first, grounded the entire fleet until they could solve the mystery. Here's where it gets interesting. While we were perfecting the F-22, China was busy trying to copy it. They came up with something that looks similar and costs 70% less. But you know what they say, you get what you pay for. Their version is like comparing a knockoff watch to a genuine Rolex. It might look the same, but it sure doesn't perform like one. Want to know the real kicker? Even with all these challenges, our amazing maintenance teams and engineers fixed the oxygen problem. Today, the F-22 is still considered the most capable air-to-air fighter in history. That's American ingenuity at its finest. But just when the F-22 story was settling down, something even more shocking was happening with another aircraft. In fact, what I'm about to tell you next made the Pentagon's top brass lose sleep for months. Here's a story that'll make you question everything about military spending. The RAH-66 Comanche helicopter, what started as America's most promising aircraft, turned into a $500 million lesson in what not to do. In the 1990s, our military leaders had a dream: build the most advanced scout helicopter ever made. They wanted something that could sneak behind enemy lines like a ninja and come back with crucial information to keep our troops safe. Sounds amazing, right? If you think this was a good idea, type "good" in the comments below. The Comanche was supposed to be the future of Army aviation. They planned to build over 1,200 of them. Each one would cost more than the average American earns in 30 years. The technology inside was so advanced, it was like putting a fighter jet's brain into a helicopter's body. But here's where things went sideways. After spending $7 billion, that's enough money to buy everyone in Wyoming a new car, they only built 2 helicopters. 2! And neither of them was fully combat ready. What made it so expensive? Well, they tried to pack every new technology they could think of into one aircraft. Stealth coating that made it invisible to radar? Check. Night vision systems that could spot a rabbit from 3 miles away? You bet. A computer system that could process more information than 100 laptops? They tried that too. The worst part? By 2004, after years of development and billions spent, military leaders realized something shocking. The threats had changed. The Comanche was built to fight yesterday's wars, not tomorrow's challenges. It's like spending your life savings on the world's best VHS player, right when DVDs came out. Today, those 2 Comanche prototypes sit in museums. They're monuments to one of the most expensive what-ifs in military history. But there's a silver lining. The technology developed for the Comanche didn't go to waste. Much of it found its way into other aircraft that protect our troops today. But just when you think $500 million for 2 helicopters was shocking, wait until you hear about what happened with our next aircraft. It's a story so incredible, it was kept classified for years. Let's talk about the F-15EX Eagle II, the $88 million upgrade to America's legendary F-15 fighter jet. Some people call it the world's most expensive upgrade, but our Air Force pilots? They call it their new best friend. Picture this. The original F-15 Eagle was already an incredible fighter jet. For over 40 years, it maintained a perfect combat record. That's right, no F-15 has ever been shot down in air-to-air combat. But the military wanted something even better, and that's where our story gets interesting. In 2020, Boeing unveiled the F-15X, promising it would be cheaper than the F-35. But here's the twist. Each jet ended up costing $88 million. That's like buying a mansion in Beverly Hills, and then buying another mansion just to store your car. But don't let the price tag fool you. This isn't just your grandfather's F-15 with a fresh coat of paint. The EX can carry more weapons than any fighter in US history. We're talking about 22 air-to-air missiles. The computers inside are so advanced, they can process information faster than 14 PlayStation 5s combined. Here's where things get controversial. Some military experts said, why spend billions on upgrading an old design? Well, our pilots had the answer. During testing, one F-15EX pilot radioed back, "This isn't an upgrade. This is a whole new beast." The real game changer? While other modern jets need special hangars and countless maintenance hours, the F-15X can operate from almost anywhere. It's like having a Ferrari that's as reliable as a Toyota. But not everyone was happy. Congress questioned why we needed both F-35s and F-15EXs. The answer came during a classified wargame exercise where the F-15X did something so impressive, it's still classified today. And just when the F-15EX controversy was heating up, another aircraft program was about to make headlines for all the wrong reasons. Right now, we're halfway through our list of America's most expensive fighter jets. But here's what the Pentagon doesn't want you to know. There's a hidden cost behind every aircraft we've talked about, and it's bigger than anyone imagined. Remember how the F-35 costs $1.7 trillion? Well, that number shocked everyone, but listen to this. In 2023, a secret audit revealed that the Air Force was spending more money maintaining these expensive jets than buying new ones. We're talking about $30,000 just to change a light bulb. And that's not even the craziest part. Here's the bombshell. There's a classified program where the military is actually paying double for spare parts. Why? Because these jets are so complex, only one company can make each part. It's like having to buy a $500 oil filter for your car because only one store in the world sells it. But this next revelation will really make your jaw drop. In a leaked Pentagon document from 2024, officials admitted they were hiding the true maintenance costs of all military aircraft. For every dollar spent buying these jets, they're spending $3 just keeping them flying. Think that's shocking? You haven't heard anything yet. The next aircraft on our list was so expensive, Congress had to create a special committee just to investigate where all the money went. And what they found? Well, let's just say it caused quite a few sleepless nights in Washington. Now, let me tell you about a project so ambitious, it makes all our previous aircraft look cheap, the XB-70 Valkyrie. This experimental bomber was meant to fly 3 times the speed of sound, so high that enemy missiles couldn't reach it. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, in the 1960s, the Air Force spent what would be $7 billion in today's money to make this dream real. The Valkyrie was unlike anything ever built. It was longer than 3 city buses and could fly at 70,000 feet, so high that pilots could see the curve of the Earth. The engineers had to invent new materials just to build it because normal aircraft metals would melt at the speeds it flew. But here's where things went terribly wrong. During a routine photo flight in 1966, a tragedy struck that would change everything. An F-104 fighter jet accidentally collided with one of only 2 XB-70s ever built. In just seconds, billions of dollars of revolutionary technology crashed into the Mojave Desert. Worse yet, we lost one of our finest test pilots that day. The cost was spiraling out of control even before the crash. Each engine cost more than an entire F-4 Phantom fighter jet. The fuel tanks had to be sealed with special tape that cost $15,000 per roll in today's money. And here's the kicker. This tape had to be replaced after every single flight. The military originally wanted 150 of these supersonic bombers. Just imagine, that would have cost more than the entire interstate highway system. But after spending billions on research and development, they only built 2. Today, the only surviving XB-70 sits in a museum in Ohio, a $7 billion reminder of one of the most expensive experimental aircraft ever built. But believe it or not, there was another aircraft program that was even more secretive and more expensive. In fact, what happened next was so classified, most Pentagon officials didn't even know it existed. Let's dive into one of the most secretive aircraft programs ever created, the SR-72 Son of Blackbird. This isn't just another expensive jet. This is America's $1 billion attempt to build something that can fly at Mach 6. That's 6 times the speed of sound. But first, let me tell you something that was declassified just last year. The Air Force has been secretly testing parts of this aircraft in the Nevada desert since 2018. Local residents reported hearing explosions that shook their houses. Now we know why. They were testing engines so powerful they could cross the entire United States in 30 minutes. Here's where the billions really start adding up. Each engine for the SR-72 costs more than 4 F-16 fighter jets combined. The special materials needed to keep it from melting at hypersonic speeds, they cost more per pound than gold. Our brilliant engineers had to invent completely new manufacturing processes just to build it. But there's a twist to this story that nobody saw coming. In 2023, satellite images caught something unusual at a secret base in the desert. Aviation experts believe they spotted an SR-72 prototype. But here's the shocking part. It looked nothing like what the public was told. The real aircraft was so advanced, even our top military officials were amazed. The program is so classified that maintenance crews need special clearance just to be in the same building as the blueprints. One engineer accidentally leaked that a single test flight costs more than sending a rocket to space. Think about that. Every time this aircraft takes off, it's like launching a space mission. Our military leaders say this incredible aircraft is worth every penny. Why? Because while other countries are just starting to develop hypersonic technology, America is years ahead. The SR-72's capabilities are so advanced, most of them will stay classified until 2050. But just when you think you've heard the most expensive aircraft story, wait until you hear about what's keeping Pentagon accountants awake at night. Think buying these expensive aircraft was costly. Wait until you hear about what it takes to keep them flying. This is the story that military budget officers don't want to talk about. The maintenance costs that are draining America's defense budget. Let me put this in perspective. For every hour an F-35 spends in the air, it spends 50 hours in maintenance. That's like taking your car to the mechanic for 2 weeks after every 30-minute drive. In 2024, just the maintenance costs for our fighter jet fleet could have paid for 100 new hospitals. Here's a shocking example that was revealed in a recent Air Force report. A single F-22 Raptor needs a special coating that costs $300,000 to replace, and it needs replacing every few years. That's more than most Americans spend on their house. But here's the real kicker. We can't even make this coating fast enough because only one company knows the secret formula. The B-2 Spirit bombers? They're even worse. Each one needs a special climate-controlled hangar that costs more to run than a small town's power bill. If the temperature isn't exactly right, the stealth coating starts to deteriorate. During one hot summer, 3 B-2s were grounded because their hangar's air conditioning couldn't keep up. But here's what really gets interesting. In 2023, whistleblowers revealed that maintenance crews were having to make parts by hand because the original manufacturers had gone out of business. Imagine trying to fix $1 million jet with custom-made parts. It's like trying to repair a Rolex with handmade gears. Our dedicated maintenance crews are working miracles keeping these planes flying. But for every dollar we spent buying these aircraft, we're now spending $3 just maintaining them. One Air Force general said it best. We're not just buying aircraft anymore. We're buying lifetime commitments. And just when the maintenance costs seemed overwhelming, something even more concerning started happening with our international competitors. Want to hear about the foreign threat that's making these costs look even more troubling? Now, here's something that's keeping military leaders up at night. While America spends billions on each fighter jet, our competitors are mass-producing their own versions for a fraction of the cost. But there's more to this story than just numbers. Let me tell you what happened in 2024. China unveiled their J-20 stealth fighter, their answer to our F-22 Raptor. The shocking part? They're building them for about $30 million each, while our F-22s cost $200 million. But here's what our top pilots say. You get what you pay for. During joint exercises, our allies reported that China's stealth fighters showed up on radar like Christmas trees. Russia's been playing this game too. They announced their Su-57 fighter would cost just $50 million. But here's the twist. They've only managed to build 10 of them in the time we've delivered hundreds of F-35s to our allies. As one Air Force commander put it, it's easy to build them cheap when you're cutting corners. But in 2023, something unexpected happened. India tested their new fighter jet, and even our own experts were impressed. They're building advanced aircraft for 1/3 of what we spend. How? They're combining American design principles with lower production costs. Smart move. Here's what really matters though. Our allies still line up to buy American jets. Why? Because when Japan's F-35 pilots went up against our older F-15s in training, they said it was like bringing a smartphone to a calculator fight. That's American quality right there. The real concern isn't about who can build the cheapest jet. It's about staying ahead in technology. While our competitors try to copy our 20-year-old technology, our newest programs are so advanced they're still classified. As one defense analyst said, by the time they copy our jets, we're already 2 generations ahead. But just wait until you hear what's coming next. The future of air combat is about to change everything and the price tag. Well, right now, deep in classified facilities, American engineers are developing what they call NGAD, the Next Generation Air Dominance Fighter. The estimated cost, hold on to your seats, each one could cost up to $300 million. That's more than the price of 3 F-35s combined. But here's what makes this future fighter different. It's being designed to fly alongside robot wingmen, autonomous aircraft that cost a fraction of the manned jet. Picture this: one pilot commanding a squad of AI-powered fighters. It sounds like science fiction, but it's already being tested in the desert. The most mind-blowing part? These future jets will be modular. Think of it like a flying iPhone. You can upgrade parts of it without replacing the whole thing. Smart thinking by our military planners. They learned from spending trillions on aircraft that couldn't be easily upgraded. And here's something that was just revealed. These new fighters might be able to reach hypersonic speeds while carrying enough firepower to defend an entire coast. Our potential adversaries are already worried, and they should be. But with all these incredible advances comes an incredible price tag. The entire program could cost more than everything we've talked about combined. Is it worth it? Well, as one Air Force general recently said, freedom isn't free, but American air power makes sure it's permanent. The story of America's most expensive fighter jets isn't just about the money. It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. It's about keeping our nation safe, no matter the cost. And while these aircraft might have nearly bankrupted America, they've also kept us as the world's leading air power. If you found this journey through aviation history fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to stay updated on more incredible military technology stories, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Also, here's an interesting question for you. If you had to choose between building 2 F-35s or one of the new NGAD fighters, which would you pick? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.